What if I told you that you are more powerful than you believe?
That your worth isn't defined by where you've been, but by the limitless potential within you? It's time to silence the doubt, break free from limitations, and step into the life you were meant to live. Get ready, because today, we're unlocking the truth about your worth.
Welcome to the Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Tanya Camille, and this is where we explore what it takes to align you with who you really are, your higher self. Today's episode is the power of self-worth. You are worth more than you think you are. Let me share a personal story of mine, my basketball journey as an athlete. You know, growing up, I loved playing basketball with the boys. It was natural, it was fun, and I never thought twice about how good I was. In seventh grade, I played in school just for fun, and then and playing, of course, I held my own. Then I got an opportunity to play organized ball with a new group of girls. But something changed in me. All of a sudden, I didn't feel like I could be my organic self, my authentic self. Just play, you know? I started doubting myself. Instead of just enjoying the game like I always had, I worried about what people would think, what the girls would think of me. I didn't care what the boys thought of me, but I was worried about what the girls would think of me. Would they accept me? Would I fit in? That doubt followed me on every level of my basketball journey, from junior high to high school to college. I never played to my full potential, not because I wasn't good enough, but because I didn't believe I was. I let fear of judgment hold me back. Looking back, I realized that self-worth isn't about proving yourself to others. It's about owning who you are, who you really are. Because I was a beast. And I'm not just saying that, I was a beast. When I would play with the boys, I would get picked over a lot of guys, right? Didn't think anything about it. So and I'm not bragging, I'm just being honest. So again, as I look back, I realized that self-worth wasn't about proving myself to others. It's about owning who I really was. And that's exactly what we'll be talking about today. The goal of this episode is by the end of it, you can walk away with a clear understanding of your worth and some actionable steps to reinforce it. Let's start with external influences. Sort of how society shapes our self-worth. We are constantly exposed to unrealistic beauty and success standards, which can distort our perception of self-worth. Let me give you an example. I'm going to use social media because that's really what's dominant at this time in our lives. Let's take social media influencers or just social media in general. People often present a curated, kind of filtered versions of their life, making everyday people feel less than if they don't meet these standards. You know, we're in a true comparison culture where social media kind of fuels unhealthy comparisons, leading to self-doubt and low confidence. Comparison is the thief of joy. I call it a dream killer. When we compare ourselves to others, we discount our unique journey and accomplishments because every one of us are unique. Everyone. There's not one single duplicate here. Even in twins and fraternal twins, Everyone is unique and have their own special gifts and talents. Another external influence is advertisers playing on the insecurities of many, making us believe we need to change or buy something to be worthy. Let me say that again. Making us believe we need to change or buy something to be worthy. Um, my first, let me give you, I have a couple examples, but the first example I want to give is like the beauty industry. It promotes anti-aging products by making people fear getting older, reinforcing the idea that youth equals value, which is quite the contrary. When I think about our culture as Black people and how we spend $1 trillion a year on goods and services, but we're the last on the totem pole to have any kind of assets or net. I was going to say but assets or net worth, because we've been told that we're not good enough. So I say these things just to give you an idea of where those possibilities, those thoughts come from, not being worthy. Another thought comes to mind. Our childhood conditioning. Now, this is a big one. Us being as children and how we're conditioned and the things that we're exposed to as we grow up, they subconsciously stick with us. And we as adults don't realize that a lot of things and reactions and responses that we have come from our childhood. Like, for example, our parents. And believe me, at least let me say for my parents, and I would think for most people's parents, if they just look at it from this perspective, that they were doing the best they could based on the information they were given as children. And then based on their parents who were giving them information as children, and all the struggles and things that they had to go through. So our parental influence finds many people growing up feeling like they must achieve to be loved, because for some reason they're not feeling love, or they feel like they have to go to school and get good grades and awards and recognition to be valued, to be seen. They see those things as a value of their character when they do these different kinds of things, when they win awards and stuff. Look at me, look at me. And then more importantly is the culture norms. Culture ties self-worth to marriage, having kids, career, financial success, making deviating behavior for many of those things feel like it's failures. How is it that we feel like if we don't do the norm, we walk to our own drumbeat, that we are a failure? Let's talk about, there's so many kind of hidden dangers of the external validation of all the things some of the things I've just mentioned, right? Some of us have this achievement burnout. We overwork to prove our worthiness, often leading to exhaustion and disconnection from our family, our friends, but most importantly, disconnection from who we are, from ourselves, the most important connection. A lot of us get into the PP program, people pleasing trap. I was that chick. I was her. The need to be liked and will cause my, sacrifice my own feelings for other people. A total lack of authenticity, a total lack of who I really was. Let me give you another example. I already told you guys about the basketball situation, right? People always would say to me, I'm so nice. Tanya, you're just so nice. And for the most part, I am nice. But I did a lot of things that I didn't want to do in the name of being nice. I want to say F nice. And a lot of people still think I'm very nice. But the difference is I have boundaries and ways in my life that I never had before. Like, I have no desire to have people like me anymore. I have no desire to have people like me anymore. I have a desire to love and like myself, to have self respect for myself. And in turn, I find that people have more respect for me. You have to own your worth. It's an it's imperative that you own your worth. Like, every single person in this world is worthy. They're worthy for any desires of their heart. They're worthy because God made them in his image. They're not worthy because of what they do, but because of who they are. Let me just share a couple things that may be helpful. Like, you have to break free from these external things that have been put upon us, these ways of society that we must conform to in order to be, quote, successful. A big one, especially for the younger generation today, is seeking validation. And they do it by how many likes do I get on my page, approval, always needing external praise to feel good about themselves instead of being able to feel good about themselves on their own. A big one is to kind of shift your mindset that I'm only as good as my accomplishments. What? I am worthy just as I am. See, God or whoever you believe in is not looking at how much money you have in the bank and uh, you know, how many jobs you have, how many hours you work, how many people liked your Facebook page, your Instagram page. He's looking at the integrity of the person and who you are. And are you connecting with the true person of who you are, which is your higher self? Are you connecting? Because he gave you everything you need the moment you came into this world. So I think some of the steps that we need to really start thinking about is looking at how do we embrace inherently our self-love. So many people are connected to titles, to what they do. They need to detach their identity from their productivity. That's a bar. You need to detach your identity from your productivity. They are not one and the same. Practicing, practicing, practicing self-acceptance and forgiveness of oneself. We're so quick to forgive everybody else, but we never look in the mirror and forgive ourselves. Learning to be gentle and giving ourselves grace first before anyone else. You must create an internal validation system. You said, Tanya, what's an internal validation system? An internal validation system is very simple. Really simple. When I tell you what I'm going to say, you go, like, yeah, okay. It's one that every day you look in the mirror and you start with, I love you. You are wonderful. You are beautiful. I am made in God's image. I am who I am. Daily affirmations about who you are. And if you have any doubt of who you are, just take some time to sit with you and ask the question, who am I? It may not come in that very moment, but it'll start to drop in. Because one thing for sure, when you ask the question, the universe must answer. So ask if you don't know. Seek and you shall find. So create an internal validation system. Daily practice to reinforce your self worth. Affirmations. Every day, try and write 5 affirmations that resonate with you. Like, I am enough just as I am. I am because I am. Yeah, I am because I am. I am enough. Period. I am enough. Period. I am because I am. Period. The next thing I would suggest is mindful self reflection. Do some journaling prompts to explore your self worth. Like, what do I admire about myself? What do I admire about myself? When was the time that I felt most confident and why? When was the time that I felt more confident about myself and why? What areas of my life do I tie to my self worth? And how can I detach from them? Because one has nothing to do with the other. So, how do I detach from it? How did I detach from my job title, my mother title, my aunt title, all my accolades and degrees? How do I attach from that and just be you? Like, how do I detach from all of those labels and just be you? Think about something you're proud of that doesn't require any external validation. Think about something that you are proud of that doesn't involve any external validation. And this is the last one. This is a doozy. What message would you give your younger self about self worth today? Because everything we are as adults starts with our childhood. So please create an affirmations system. Create time to be who you are, to disconnect from all the external things that say who you should be, instead of connecting with who you are. Disconnect from all the external things that say you should be something and connect with who you really are. There's something else we should think about in terms of self-worth, and it's about setting boundaries. I said this in my last pod, and I'm going to say it again because it's so important. But being able to say no and not feel guilty. Saying no is not selfish. It's actually an act of self-respect. And you don't have to justify your answer no to anyone. No isn't selfish. You don't have to justify your answer to anyone. And I have a spoiler alert. Not a spoiler elect, a spoiler alert. No is a complete sentence. Yep. Last I heard, no is a complete sentence. When we can do those things, it reinforces our self-worth because we put ourselves first. And I'm not talking about from some kind of selfish way or narcissistic way. I'm talking about just genuine human kindness of being humanly kind to yourself, respecting yourself, your boundaries. Because the things that you do to yourself will teach people how to treat you. You'll start to learn really quickly how to teach people how to treat you. Because you don't allow yourself to do things that dishonor how you truly feel. And when you see it, you'll be able to speak to it And more importantly, when people see you doing that, they will know not to try you. When you set boundary, it protects your energy and your mental wellness. And trust me, it's going to feel hard. It's going to feel different because it is. But in the end, it gives you the kind of self-respect for yourself. It doesn't tear away at you, it builds you up. When you do things that you shouldn't do against what you really want to do, you tear yourself down. But when you speak to who you truly are and do things in alignment of how you truly feel and don't have any feeling like I'm a bad person because I'm not doing, no. You must honor thyself first. Boundaries, 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 they teach people how to treat you. And they enforce your self-confidence and your self-trust and your self-love. Boundaries teach people how to treat you, and they enforce your self-trust, your self-worth, and your self-love, which in turn gives you the confidence to seek and do the things you truly want to do. This is not an easy process, especially if you've been doing it forever. So again, as I said earlier, you must learn to give yourself grace. Grace is imperative. We're so willing to give other people grace and pass cards and all this stuff. But first, give yourself grace. Learn to celebrate your small wins. Acknowledge them. Like, for example, saying no when you usually would have said yes. That's a win. Doing things and asking yourself questions and taking time to self-reflect and looking within for the answers of everything that you desire and want. And not getting upset because they're not coming right away, but knowing that they will. Acknowledging the baby steps. Acknowledging that I wouldn't have done that even yesterday, right? You know, the whole thing people say, if you do 1% improvement every day, by the end of the year, you'll be 365% better. Well, if you do these self-worth things with that same point of view, I promise you, you will be a different person 10x. You'll be a different person 10x. So every day, acknowledge the small wins and just ask yourself, what's the one small thing I did well today? What's the small thing I did well today for me? My last question is, can I ask you to do something for the inner you today? Can I ask you to do something for the inner you today? I ask you to write down 3 things you love about yourself and read them out loud for the next week every day. I really want to say for the next 365 days. I really want to say to expound on this every month. I really want to say make this a daily practice. I really want to say this is the thing that starts to change the mindset in your mind. Write down 3 things that you love about yourself and read them out loud every morning just for the next week. Self-worth is a journey. It's a lifelong practice. It's not a destination. It's a lifelong practice. It's a journey. It's a consistent look at always evolving to be the better version of yourself. To connect with your higher self. To connect with your soul. To be aligned with who you truly are. And none of that has anything to do with the labels you carry, how much money you have in the bank, who likes you or dislikes you. It has everything to do with who you are. And who you are is enough. Please share your reflections with me on social media at Entrepreneur the Pod. I would love to hear any of your thoughts, any of your feedback. Tell me some of the 3 things that you wrote down and you said to yourself in the mirror. I would love to hear it. Because you are perfect just the way you are. I want to thank you for tuning into the Entrepreneur Podcast. And I want to say, they say if you want to hide something, hide it in a book. But I truly believe if you really want to hide something, ask someone to look within. I wish you much self-worth every day and always. Tanya Camille, thank you for listening.